Welcome to the R2RB podcast series, where we interview local musicians and get to know them on a more personal basis. I'm Deb Lamata, your host for R2RB podcast series. This podcast is about the local musician's journey, their influences, their creative process, and so much more. We'll also highlight their music and let you know where they will be playing their next gig. So sit back, relax, and enjoy R2RB podcast series. Today I have with me Gretchen Emery and Kenny Wendell, and thank you so much for being here with me. I appreciate you both taking the time out of your day and talking about Gretchen Emery Band. How are you both?
We're well, thank you.
We're good. Thank you for asking us to spend some time with you.
It's my pleasure. So on your website, it says the Gretchen Emery Band, one small town girl with a big voice, one failed government experiment from North Philly flailing away on guitar, and two unsuspecting dudes on bass and drums holding it all together. Pretty much sums up who you are?
That's it.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's the story.
That is, I liked it. You know, when I do my research for the interview and I was looking at different articles and I just happened, I've been on your website many times. I was like, that's it. I think that's who they are. And so how did you two first meet?
Oh, yikes. All right. Well, you want to tell it or shall I? You tell it first, then I'll tell what actually happened.
Right.
Okay.
I was working for a company and transferred to Delaware, and I had been in the music scene in Philadelphia for many years. And I was sort of kicking around here and there looking for people to play with. And I was playing one night with a fellow named Kenny Jones, who's since passed away, phenomenal musician. We miss him terribly. But in between songs, a fellow came up to me and said, you know, I have this band and our guitar player just left. And would you be interested in coming over? And I was looking for people to play with. I said, sure, I'll come over and play and we'll see how it goes. Anyway, as I went to Gretchen's house, it was the first time I met Gretchen. You know, so she had these two other musicians, and there she was standing over in the corner with a microphone and this little tiny amplifier kind of singing, and she had this like really long fire engine red hair. But what really struck me was her voice. There was, even though you really couldn't hear her, it wasn't like she's presenting today, you know. She's very developed since then, but there was a quality to her singing that attracted my attention. I wasn't really interested in the band per se. Wasn't really quite my cup of tea, but you know, they were all having a good time. And when we finished, I was taking my guitar and my amp out to the car, and Gretchen came out to say thanks for coming over. And I said, look, I don't want to step on your friendships, you know, or whatever you got going here. But if you're ever interested in doing something with a bit more focus, give me a call. Because I was used to a very, very different kind of, what would I call it, atmosphere in music. And when you came into a band, it was the bands I was used to working with, both recording with and working with. It was very tightly run. About 8 or 9 months, something like that, passed by, and I ran into Gretchen in the Acme, so like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. She was, she had since given birth to her child, Sam, her son, and I forget what I was doing there. Probably knowing me buying coffee.
I needed diapers. He needed coffee. Yeah.
And we bumped into each other and say, "Hey, how you doing? What's going on?" And I had just hooked up with a bass player at that point. We were just kicking around some stuff, and she said, "Well, I'm not really doing anything right now." And I said, "Well, why don't we try to put something together?" So I've got this bass player, and she knew a drummer that she really liked, and the four of us got together, and we put together a band called Red House. Okay. And that band went on to do lots of interesting things. We played festivals. We had a contract with Warm Daddies in Philly, the original Warm Daddies.
Wow.
And we were more like a blues rock band. We were doing a lot of covers. In fact, that's all we did, I think. And in that period of time is when Gretchen and I wrote our first song.
Oh, wow.
Which is on our EP. It's called Addie. And
I like that song. Oh my God.
Oh, good. We get that response a fair bit. So it's good to see the consistency. Thank you.
But we hadn't gotten to a point, musically where we were ready to do that sort of nuanced music in that particular band. I mean, that band was half stack Marshalls, turn up and play Government Mule. Yeah. Anyway, so that's how we met, and we've been working together ever since. So we figured somewhere around 25 years now.
Yeah, that had to be. Well, Sam was born in '97. It was before I had Sam, so that there may have been a wider gap between the audition and when I had the baby. But regardless, it was 95, 96, 97 in there that we met and started playing together.
Yeah, so we've been through various incarnations of bands together. And the last band we had, we worked a lot. We were very involved with the blues community. And when that band came to its end, I mean, everybody just got kind of burned out because we were very busy. Anyway, I said to Gretchen, the next time we do a band, it's going to be the Gretchen Emery Band. It's no longer going to be Gretchen Emery and Dirty Boots, Gretchen Emery and Red House, whatever.
Gretchen Emery Band, period.
Yeah. And there were some reasons for that, because I used to say to the members of the band, she's the star. Your job is to support her.
Absolutely.
Your job is not to see, my job is not to show everybody how great a guitar solo I can play. My job is to support her. And if that means songs where there's no lead guitar solos, then so be it. And you guys need to just basically shut up and play. All right.
And no one had ever said that to me before. No one ever presented that perspective to me before Kenny. And that was really, I was like, oh, well, I don't know about that. I'm fine over here in the corner.
Yeah, I created a monster.
Totally.
Well, I guess we'll get into that. But you did leave one thing out of that initial meeting.
Oh, the car?
The car. I mean, I'll accept your version. That was a pretty good.
Was that good?
You pretty much captured. Yeah, he captured that version. But one small detail is that Kenny, the audition was at my house, and I suddenly needed to run an errand just, shortly before the audition, of course.
Of course.
And as I'm coming back to my house, I'm waiting at the traffic light to turn into the neighborhood. There's this car in front of me, and it is the most hideous, ugly green color.
It was beautiful.
I had ever seen in my life. And I thought, oh God, tell me this car is not going to my house. Sure enough, of course, you can imagine what happened next. Of course, it did. It was Kenny. And, the rest is history, as they say. But it was really just sort of funny. And then, to eat my words, the ironic part was, after Kenny and after that audition, and, we met, we started playing, we became friends. And my husband, Mike, and I needed a car at some point and ended up borrowing that ugly green car. And I was never more grateful for that ugly car in my life.
Was it a classic, Kenny? Was it a classic?
No, it was, but it was a car that I really liked. It was just a Volkswagen Golf, but
oh my gosh,
I'm in the automotive business.
Oh, okay.
And what I do for a living is I restore vintage automobiles.
Do you really?
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So really cool. Yeah, really
I've been doing it for a long time.
Wow.
Now, when I first came to Delaware, I had been recruited by a corporation, DuPont, to write training, and I did that for a couple of years, and then went into R&D, and I was I left because I was just tired of flying around the country. Anyway, I took that car and completely straightened it and painted it and polished it. I mean, it was a beautiful car.
Wow. Were you always into music? Was music always in your life from a young age?
Yeah. It was inevitable and virtually required. It wasn't demanded or shoved down my throat, but it was a part of our family growing up in a big way. I'm the youngest of four. My mother had a beautiful soprano voice. She grew up outside of Reading, PA, and was sort of a star in her little town. Would sing as a child. Would sing at her little, town events and so forth. That she just had this beautiful, beautiful voice. And some of my earliest memories are of her singing and sitting down at the piano to take a break from cleaning the house. She would dust the piano and then sit down at it and play Shirley Temple songs and sing. And
oh my gosh.
And my dad was he played clarinet.
Really?
But he wasn't a musician. You know what I mean? Like, he learned to play the clarinet. He did play the clarinet. He loved music, appreciated music. And my sister sang and played the piano. My brother played cornet and guitar. And my other brother played piano and sax and became a music major and made a life out of music and in one way, shape, or another. And then there was me. Oh, and my uncle, my dad's brother, was an organist and a piano teacher and choir director, all those things. So it was there. Like it was just always there. So I was.
And what was the turning point then that you knew that you wanted music in your life more than just going to church and singing in the choir?
I don't know that there was per se a turning point as a young person. I think when I did go to church and sing and then play in the band in high school. And when I was in the band in high school, I also auditioned for the pom-pom squad, and I got into the pom-pom squad at Dover High. I did become the captain my senior year. But my point in bringing that up is that was performance. There's an element of performance there. So I had some kind of desire to do that. Right. And so I think it was just there. But, later on, after Kenny and I had a band together, we had played a winter blues festival down in Cumberland, Maryland, and opened for Sam Cockrell, who was a blues man out of Chicago. And I remember saying to Kenny after that performance, now, mind you, we'd had bands and performances, and I was involved in music, along the way. To any greater or lesser extent. But so that had to be around 98, 99, somewhere in there. I remember saying to Kenny after that performance, I felt like I was doing what I was made to do. That was the moment I think that I had some awareness that this just feels right. It just seems to be what I love in my heart. That's where I feel the most me when I'm performing.
It's that aha moment, the aha moment.
That aha. Yeah, that aha. And so it had always been, part of my life. I'm a nurse. I'm a registered nurse. So I've had a career as a nurse. That's how we keep the lights on. I like to eat.
There is that.
Pay the bills, health insurance,
Roof over your head.
Roof over my head. Yeah. And I'm grateful for it. It's brought me a lot of things in my life and brought us a lot of things musically, too, in terms of.
That's where Addie came from.
That's where Addie came, inspiration for our songs. If Love Were Enough came from inspiration from my nursing career. My best friend, Lisa, currently is sort of my right-hand person at a lot of shows, and she's been there from the beginning, and I wouldn't have known her without my nursing career.
Wow.
So it's all sort of
It all evolves.
been wrapped up in there together.
Absolutely, absolutely. Kenny, was music, obviously music's been in your blood. Did you have an aha moment knowing that you were going to make this also a career?
Yeah, an aha moment. Well, I have to go back and give you a little background. I'm from North Philly, not Northeast.
Okay.
North.
Yep. North Philly.
And
Got it.
I clarify that because anybody who knows Philly knows the difference.
Yes.
I had a very conflicted childhood. So before I became a guest of the state for 2 years, at the age of 14,
I know how to pick them.
I was, in Philly at that period of time, and still to some extent today, there was the corner, hanging on the corner, and the corner was serious business. So anyway, I got to know a guy in that period of time who was a drummer. And after I got out of my invitation by the state to stay with them for 2 years, I was just playing. I had developed a somewhat of an interest in guitar, and my father used to sit around and play cowboy chords and sing cowboy songs. Why, I don't know. He was an interesting guy. But anyway, pawn shop in North Philly, Front Street Sales, and I was going in there and looking up at the guitars. They had a lot of guitars. I ran into this fellow that I knew on the corner. Said, "Hey, how you doing, Jack? Hey, Kenny, where you been?" I've been away for a while. And he had no place to practice. So I said, "Look, I'm staying at my father's house. Why don't you bring your drums over?" Now, I wasn't playing yet. I knew like 2 chords. And I said, "Come on over and you can go down the basement. You can play down there," because he was in an apartment. He couldn't play. He was on the second floor with his wife. He said to me, I was just trying to strum along with a beat he was putting down. He said, "You've got really good sense of timing. Maybe you should consider learning how to play that thing." And that was kind of an aha moment for me. And I basically, to make a long story short, I quit my job, bought a guitar, and I played 15 hours a day until I learned how to. And within a year of that, I was on the road with a band. With a band we put together, and we worked 5 to 6 nights a week, 6 sets a night. It was a hard life. It was a hard life.
Absolutely.
And the band, basically, like a lot of bands back then, self-destructed through drugs and booze, myself included. I got myself into a real serious drug problem, and I got sober after that. I stayed focused in music, and I wanted it badly. What I wanted, I think, looking back, was not fame and fortune. That never really, I'm not a performer per se. What I wanted was the transcendence that comes with playing. Yep. I don't think I could have said it back then. I couldn't have put it that way. So, Gretchen will tell you, I'm just as if we were playing through big, tall amps like we used to, I'd be just as happy standing behind the amps. Okay. I am not a showman. That being said, that interaction with that drummer, a guy named Jack Mock, really opened my eyes up to the possibility and being in that band of doing this as my life's calling. Now, obviously, I was in several bands in Philly after that band. I just got more and more involved, deeper, studying guitar, playing a lot, trying to find my voice with guitar, because that's what I would tell any young guitar player: find your voice. Don't try to be. It's okay to learn from the masters, but don't try to be them.
Right, exactly. Okay. Who influenced you in your music?
That would be Muddy Waters, who I met before he passed, B.B. King, obviously Eric Clapton, who was a gateway for a lot of us. Most of us have gone through Eric Clapton, whether you know it or not. Okay, right. And so those, and there was always Jeff Beck, who was like, I still insist that Jeff Beck was dropped off at Roswell in 1947. The man was an alien. He was the most innovative guitar player I've ever heard. And he inspired me. What Jeff Beck inspired in me was not to try to play like him, because I just don't have that kind of talent. Jeff Beck was a once in a generation phenomenon.
Say that again.
maybe a once in multiple generations. But in any case, what he inspired in me was you don't have to do it like everybody else does it. You can find your own voice. And some of the compliments have been paid to me over the years. One of the highest, well, there were two, was I was working with a musician in Philadelphia who's since passed away, Alan Mann. And his manager came up to me after a rehearsal. He said, you know, you really play in a unique way. You're not conventional at all. And I said, oh, at that time I was very insecure, and I thought, oh boy. And I would look back at that as saying I had started to find my voice. And one time I was playing in St. Louis and playing behind an old blues man. And it was an incredible experience. Tommy Bankhead, he's passed away now. My friend Steve Waldman, who's very, very well known in the St. Louis community, he's played with Ike and Tina. And I mean, who hasn't he played with? Johnny Johnson, he toured with Johnny. In fact, he invited me. I flew out to St. Louis to play with him at a tribute for Johnny Johnson after he passed away.
Wow.
His wife was there, all kinds of famous people and everything. But Tommy Bankhead couldn't even stand up anymore. He had to sit down. He has his old beat up guitar. He could hardly play. And anyway, with the band, we had Albert King's old band, which was an honor to play with them.
I bet.
And we're up on stage and we're just, you know, laying it out. And Steve nods to me to take a little solo there, and I didn't. Tommy turned around and he looked at me and said, I felt that, son. And that was, I thought I was going to cry.
That's it. That's it. There's your aha. And you just know it, right? You knew at that moment you could feel it. You feel it.
Yeah, the connection. Yeah. There was a transcendence in that.
There you go.
And, you know, interestingly, at that particular show, it was at a club in St. Louis that was very well known for blues, and pictures of everybody up on the wall, etc. Mike and Mins. And you look down the bar that night because of Tommy Bankhead, 200 years of blues tradition sitting at that bar. Some of the heaviest hitters in St. Louis. And nobody had a let me show you what I can do attitude. Yeah. They were there for the music.
Right.
They were there for the blues.
That's it.
And I get off on my high horse about the blues. When I play every day, that's basically all I do, except for songwriting.
Just that aha moment for the both of you. And you just mentioned songwriting. You both collaborate together?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Kenny mostly comes up with a melodic idea, chord structure, and he'll present it to me and say, "What do you think?" And then I'll develop some lyrics around that, or sometimes I have lyrics and a melody in my head, and I'll bring that to him. Most of the time, he's bringing an idea to me. I have countless voice memos on my phone of new idea by Kenny's new idea, Kenny, new riff, more material than I can work on in a week, but that's good. I'm grateful to have all this wealth of it's like a treasure chest to pull out of. And then sometimes I have an old song that never really went anywhere. And a couple of those ended up on this EP that we reworked and redeveloped.
I want to add a little change to that.
Oh dear.
Basically, what I do is I come up with a groove or a pocket. Gretchen is the one who brings the melody to it, not necessarily me. Every now and then I'll suggest a melodic note structure, but that's rare. Okay. And she comes from the stuff that she puts on a chord progression is something I would have never thought of. And that's the exciting part about it. I'll give you a quick example here. Okay. So I came to her with.
You want me to sing now?
Yeah. I just want you to listen to
Took a little bit of time before I realized just what it was that you did to me. Took a little bit of my mind with you. Now I don't know
So my point is, I would have never come up with that. Now it's on our new.
That's a new one that we're working on. That'll be on the new album.
And so I was going to ask about the new album that you're working on. And so it's all original material put together with you. And I can't wait.
Okay.
Oh, thanks.
We do not have a date because it's just one of those things that, when it's done, it's done. And I don't like to rush it. I don't want the music to feel rushed. I don't want that to come across in the recording. I want it to be great. And Kenny and I, we had done a fair amount of recording before this EP release in July. However, we just felt like we weren't getting the product that we wanted. We just felt like we weren't really achieving what was in our head.
Yeah, I have a question because you're talking about recording and just coming out of left field on this because you had mentioned about recording back when and recording now. Do you feel that recording when you originally started in a studio with the equipment you had, coming forward to being digital, looking at it and bringing it in a different way into the studio, has that affected it at all?
I don't think in that way that the change in technology or anything has affected it. What has affected it was when we were tired of spending our money and not really, achieving what we wanted. I called a friend of Kenny's who he had introduced me to years ago, Peter Humphreys. And Pete Humphreys is a mastering professional, genius guru who worked at Sigma Sound in Philly for years.
Wow.
And I called Pete and said, Pete, do you know any good studios? I'm just not getting what we want. And no, it wasn't that there was anything wrong with the studios or the equipment or the recording or, anything that we had used in the past. We just didn't have that right mix of elements. Peter said, well, I know a guy. I don't know if you'll be a good fit, but you can call him. And that was Derek Chafin, who's the producer on the album that you heard. And we had the right fit, and he sort of got us. And the difference is that Derek is a producer. Mm-hmm. We had not had a producer before. We had technicians, great people trying to do a really good job for us. And Derek really forces us to stretch and grow and develop and craft. So he'll say, well, you need to write a chorus for that. And I'll say, oh, no, the chorus is right here. He's like, nah, that's really a pre-chorus. You need to go write a chorus. So he's taught us. He's been a great mentor and has become a friend, but the element of having someone who's producing your music rather than recording, rather than only engineering it, that's been the difference. So now when we're songwriting, we're also taking these lessons that we've been trying to pick up from Derek. It really, to me, it's fun. It's more fun than it ever was because it's kind of like a puzzle. And in fact, Kenny and I will butt heads occasionally.
I was going to ask that question.
And I'll say, okay, well, now from here, then we'll go to this part of the song. And I'll be like, no. Derek would say no, we can't go there yet because it has to go to the chorus. And then we get into a linguistic problem of vocabulary and what's the chorus and the blah, blah, blah. And he's from North Philly, and I'm going to leave it there.
Say no more.
I'm a redhead from Dover, and I win almost every time.
Every time. But I think it's important, like you said, to have the producer slash mentor, because one of the questions I asked on my podcast to other women entrepreneurs, did you have a mentor in the beginning? Did you have somebody that you could, reach out to? So maybe it's been later in your career that you have found, somebody that absolutely fits that. So kudos to you both. And then you did answer my question about, do you ever get to a point that you're like, just have to walk away from each other and take a break because you're just not seeing eye to eye?
Often, frequently. I want to say something about the mentor though, yes. Because early on, when I moved to Wilmington, Newark area in my early 20s, and I was getting into the music scene here, I met a woman named Mary Archer. Do you know Mary?
I don't.
So she's a singer-songwriter. Really, she was the first person in this area who really got me connected in the music community here. We just saw her last Saturday, and she's still singing, playing, writing. Peter Humphreys, the mastering guru, was also there, when we had this party and jam, and he really loved her stuff. So she, in one way, she didn't try to mentor me or tell me anything per se, but she was a model, a great role model, and she's become a friend, and we had been out of touch for a while, but we're sort of back in touch again. And she was there sort of when I was starting to cultivate this as a young person. I had a voice teacher after I hurt my voice on a gig.
No.
And so Kathy Cammett, phenomenal voice teacher. There is a difference between a voice teacher and a voice coach.
Okay.
I've learned from her, and she is a voice teacher and a vocalogist. So there's so much to know. Yeah, there's so much to know. I did study with Debbie Chamberlain in New Jersey too for a period of time before I got in touch with Kathy. And there was a gap, a long gap in between the two teachers. So, I had tried to study voice, develop my voice, take good care of it. I got into trouble and I hurt myself and got into training with Kathy. So she was a mentor.
And I think it's just so important for whatever field you're in, whatever career you're in, music industry, to have a mentor, to have that support that you can reach out to in whatever capacity that person might be.
Yeah. And my sister, my she's the oldest of us siblings. She's just been a phenomenal promoter, supporter, mainstay. She's always there. She's always ready to support our music. She lives in Manhattan, she and her husband, and they even came down to Delaware when we had our CD release party. And, as she says, cool. I've been enjoying your music for a long, long time. Since, since I was an infant in the crib.
My God. And it takes a village. It takes a village of supporters and mentors and family and friends. And that is awesome that you have a good village. Absolutely.
And I looked at my mom, her beautiful voice and my dad's sort of persistence and drive. And I'm grateful for all of that, for everyone.
Let me ask you about the rest of your band members. Who are the dudes in the band?
Dudes.
Well, there's Tim Elliott on drums, very good friend of ours, and Randy Waters on bass, who we're so fortunate for both of them to have them contribute their time and their efforts. We've been with Randy. He's worked with us now for about 3 years.
And I just want to add about Randy. I've known Randy since before I knew Kenny.
Oh, wow.
When Mike and I were married, Mike was in a really well-known band in this area called Days Alone. And Randy was in a different band. And both of Days Alone and the band Randy was in would sort of all hang out together. So we met ages ago. He's a phenomenal bass player. So we've known each other for a long, long time. And Kenny and I happened to be out in Wilmington, and we saw Randy from literally across the bar, and I'm yelling, I need a bass player. I need a bass player. And he did one of these, hand up to the ear, call me. And the rest is history. So that was 2 or 3 years ago.
Randy's, and both of them are
great. And they're both great.
They both bring different sensibilities to it. And with Tim Elliott, it's a very precision, or he's a machinist by trade. And he brings that discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And we call him the Iceman. He never gets rattled.
Never.
And Randy is just the most soulful player. God, I love his feel. He's just, I could listen to him just play bass.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, after we're coming home on some of the mixes of the EP, and I'd be calling Randy and say, "You're a genius. You're a genius." He's just, he works with other artists in the area.
Okay.
He's very well known. We're fortunate that he's contributed his time to this project.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so how long then have the four of you been together?
Well, with Randy, it's about 3 years.
Okay.
With Tim, it's been about a year. We were in need of a drummer at the time. The drummer who was with us for a long time, he went his way, we went ours.
As bands will do. I mean, we've gone through so many, lots of incarnations.
Sure. Yeah, for lots of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And in any case, Tim and Gretchen and I had gotten to know each other. He was looking for people to play with, and I had been to a couple of the open mics and stood on and played with him on sets.
Yeah, blues jams. Yeah.
And he was a very precise player, very good meter, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So when we were in between, he, as a friend, had offered to help us out. He said, "Look, I'll come hold it down for you until you find somebody." And he's still saying that.
Well,
he's so funny. He's really funny. He says, "Look, when you guys fire me, I'm still going to come to all your shows."
Yeah. Well, he had also been living in West Virginia. He's from Delaware, but he had been living in West Virginia and playing for the Adam Parker Band, who was getting some notoriety and opening up for bigger shows at civic centers and things like that. And he was really not interested in the grind of lots and lots and lots of shows and, that kind of thing. So he was a little, reluctant, I think, to throw in full time, but we also don't do gobs and gobs and gobs of shows.
Okay.
We try to be selective.
We try to be selective.
Pick and choose.
And we play what we play. We play, where we feel happy. Like at Stoney's British Pub up on 202. It's like coming home, the Nomad, festivals, that kind of thing. But my point is, we're not the band that plays every Friday and Saturday night. I just simply, with a full-time job,
right?
I can't sustain that. Some people can. Some people do, but I can't.
I mean, you have a band like,
and we're writing and going into the studio, so
and you have to have that balance of between work life and band life and your music life.
Oh my God, we're supposed to balance it.
Yeah,
we're supposed to balance it.
Doesn't.
I mean, there are bands that we know
that's what we've been doing
that do play full time, lowercase with Jake and BJ.
They're awesome.
They're an incredible band. In fact, when they played last time, they went to the Memphis. What is that called?
The International Blues Challenge.
IBC. We had been part of it as well. We went there and we competed. But when they went down, had been their third or fourth trip down there, we took a little vacation and went down to support them.
Oh, wow.
And naturally, we thought our guys, we thought they
were on fire.
They were unbelievable. We've heard those guys when they were good, and then we've heard them when they were really good.
They're awesome.
Amazing.
And you know what? It's a funny story about Lowercase is when they were just kids starting out. They were teenagers, and Lowercase Blues and a band I was in at the time without Kenny, because we were getting on each other's nerves too much or something. I'm not really sure what happened, but that band that I was in called The Media. We and Lowercase were in a battle of the bands together, and they won. And we came in second. That was our first introduction to Lowercase Blues.
They're great guys.
They really are.
They
really
are great guys. I have met them in person. So
yeah. Aw, thank you. So glad you like our music.
Do you have a favorite place that you like to perform? And second part of that is, do you perform more up the north, or do you come down south also?
I'll go anywhere where they'll let me have a mic in my hands. Having said that, I think we do tend to perform more up in this area and Philly, although we have and will come downstate or, to Baltimore, wherever. We've been at Bethany Blues. We've performed at the Rehoboth Beach Bandstand. I feel like we used to go down to Smyrna to the Blue Earl. But lately, June Jam. We've played at June Jam. So
and the Riverfront Blues Festival. We've played
that's
there.
Up here.
Right, we played there 4 times. I think.
But as far as upstate, downstate, I think it just so happened that we started staying a little bit closer to home, only because we were doing so much and trying to get the CD out. And,
absolutely. So
just time management.
There you go. Right. That's a big thing. Yeah. What would you like to share? What events are coming up where you'll be?
Oh, yeah, sure. So March 1st, we will be the featured artist of the month at the Delaware Music Network's monthly open mic, which occurs at the Queen in Wilmington. And the Delaware Music Network is truly a network. It is a very supportive environment where when you come to that open mic at the Queen, you are really encouraged to network, talk with people, to uplift one another. It is truly this very positive environment. And so we've gone there a couple times. I haven't, we just had sort of the perfect storm of events where we signed up to play and then something happened and we had to leave and couldn't play at the open mic ourselves. So anyone who comes to play gets one song.
Oh, okay.
And the featured artists, and then but they don't just give you one song. They give you get to play one song, maybe 2, and then they sort of interview you. So they're giving that person at the open mic an opportunity to say who they are, what they are, where to find them, all those, a little mini interview.
That's nice.
And then it's really nice. And they'll have about 3 or 4 featured artists that month. So those artists play first and they'll play a, short set, but more than 1 or 2 songs, 3 or 4 songs.
I want to interject here about them, if I may.
Sure.
What's Joe's last name?
Joe Bellardo.
Joe Bellardo. I can't encourage you enough to get in touch with Joe and stop and visit one of their. When we say open mic, we're all in there's sort of a format that we get used to with open mics. Okay. They're doing it completely different than anybody I've ever seen. And they really are promoting community music. And when you go there, you're going to hear a lot of hip hop, spoken word.
Really?
We even saw a comic there that was phenomenal. Wow. Did sound effects that just blew my mind. So it's not like you're going to a blues jam.
Okay.
But what you go to, and what happens is you will experience a part of the music community that you may not have been in touch with had you not gone there. So it's really opened my paradigm of what a quote unquote open mic is. Most open mics are pretty predictable, okay, and can be a lot of fun, okay. But this is very different, and they are really because of them. We've gone to some shows at the library in Wilmington
Library.
Seen some incredible art. I mean, phenomenal people.
Well, and as featuring female entrepreneurs, Maya Bilardo is a phenomenal singer, jazz singer, artist, and she is the daughter of Joe Bilardo, who's running this Delaware music network. So there's another person for you to interview.
Absolutely.
And then there's one more I'm going to mention before we get to the end. But the March 1st is an open mic at the Queen. That will be the featured artist. So that's in Wilmington. March 25th, the band will be at Stoney's Bridge Pub up in Wilmington. That is one of our favorite.
A little background on Stoney's real quick. Stoney was in the music business for 35 years.
Wow.
When you walk in, he was a promoter, not a concert promoter, a record promoter. Back in the old days when people still actually produced albums.
Right.
He was the one who had to go out for the record label and produce and promote that album to the radio stations. Yep. And when you walk in his pub, there's gold, platinum records. I mean, he's worked with everybody.
And pictures with everyone.
He's on a first name basis with Keith Richards and Mick Jagger. He's produced Traffic, Stevie Winwood, David Bowie, promoted. On and on and on.
Wow.
So when you go to Stoney's Pub, he opened up a pub here because he couldn't get good fish and chips. He's British. And he opened up his own little pub. And he uses his mother's recipe. His fish and chips are phenomenal. They're legendary. And here's Stoney, right? This guy has walked the halls of greatness for his career in terms of working with major stars.
Right.
And he's out there with his apron on, waiting tables, telling jokes. He is such a joy to be around.
And not only that, there are two women who work there who are servers. They're twin sisters.
Oh my gosh.
Emily and Rachel. And they are first of all, Stoney and Emily and Rachel and the whole place are so supportive of us and our music, but also just at a baseline, they are so warm, so funny. They're funny. They're fun to be around. So
please give us a call.
We love going in.
We'll take you up to Stoney's and introduce you.
I will, not only for all of what you just said, but because you can't get good fish and chips here in Delaware.
This is a fact. So we've got those March 1st and March 21st. There are some other gigs in the works. I mean, we're booked out through the end of September right now. And if folks go to GretchenEmery.com, and Emery is EMERY, GretchenEmery.com, all of our dates are there. You can join our mailing list. There are links to Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. And Facebook and Instagram are Gretchen Emery Band. And our music is on all those cool kids streaming sites that are necessary to be relevant in today's music industry, like iTunes, Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, Amazing Radio, various internet radio.
Let me add one more thing there. Because we're so, as far as gigs go, Gretchen and I had this back and forth for years. We were so busy with our last two bands before this, incarnations, so to speak, that we never had time to do what we are now doing. We never had a producer, but we would go in and record. And it sounded like, to me, a drive-by, where you run in, you cut 4, 5, 6 songs, and you get the results. Okay. Right. You sound like you do live. And we were sharp then because we were playing all the time. When you get in, when you're splitting your time like we are, and like most musicians have to, between making a living, family issues, and just trying to play, you have to choose. We had to anyway. Are you going to focus on writing and recording for a while, or are you going to keep focused on, all right, we need this festival, we need that festival? And, you know, we got to a point where we couldn't really focus on writing at all. We were too busy. Now we're focused on writing. Now, I say that because you take a band that's out there working every night, you're going to hear that sharpness in their performance. We have to ramp back up to that. I mean, we do all right, but we know that
we're great. Yeah.
Thank you.
This is like, I'm half glass half full. This is Mr. Glass half empty over here. This is why it works. Okay. Between the two of us, it's a totally full glass. Yeah.
That is it. That is it in a nutshell. You two do work together right here, even on the podcast. The two of you are just absolutely amazing. I appreciate you both being here. The two of you, if you listen, guys out there listening, if you haven't downloaded their music, please do so. Please stay tuned because I do have a new EP that will be released, and Gretchen and Kenny will let us know when that is happening. Definitely go and support the Gretchen Emery Band at all the events that they will be at coming up. You can find them at GretchenEmeryBand.com. Again, Kenny, Gretchen, thank you so much. I have had the best time this morning with the both of you.
Thank you.
Anything else you would like to tell my listeners?
Life is short. Pay attention.
So true.
Do what brings you joy. Yeah, really. You know, we tried to stop playing music for a while. We kind of were tired.
30 days.
And we were miserable. We were so miserable, and then we got back to it, and it's can be work and it can be fun, but the fun is so worth the work, and it's who we are. We can't help it.
Well,
Thank you to your listeners.
Thank you so much.
Please check us out.
Yeah.
And thank you for what you're doing.
Well,
thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. We've enjoyed it. We appreciate you, and we appreciate your listeners and supporting Gretchen Emery Band, and watch our Facebook and website and all those. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to the R2RB podcast series. You can listen to the podcast on www.r2rb.com/podcast or on r2rb.buzzsprout.com. Are you a local musician that would like to be a guest on the R2RB podcast series? You can email us at info@r2rb.com. Have a suggestion for the next podcast interview? Send that to info@r2rb.com. Find us on Facebook at R2RB Broadcasting and on Instagram at R2RB. Until next time, keep the music playing.